Hello everyone, this is Julia from Craft Room Adventures. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I have another Rain Shaker card for you. I used the Puddle play stamp set by Hello Bluebird, which is so adorable and just perfect for the Rain Shaker cards. I started out by stamping all of my images with Versafine Onyx black ink onto Bristol smooth paper by Strathmore, and I cut the images using my brother's scanning pad. Now I'm coloring them with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, Arteza brush pens, and a water brush. I'm using the 904 for the elephant, and the 34 and 124 for the tiny umbrella. The little mouse I'm shading with Oatmeal, which is number 64. I just scribbled down some of the 904 onto my mat to add a little bit more shadow, but not too much, to just deepen the color on the elephant, and then I'm adding some more directly with a pen in the shaded areas. I'm also adding a little bit more of Oatmeal to the mouse. And I'm giving him a little pink cheek with number 201, which is Pink Haze. And that finishes up the coloring for my card. This is the basic layout of my card, which is the clouds up top and the images on a hill down below. I'm ink blending a panel with Tumbled glass and Stormy Sky Distress ink. I'm just blending the colors back and forth until I'm happy with the result. I really wanted to keep this sky lighter than the last one I made, so I'm not going in as heavy-handed as I did last time. I'm also blending a little bit of Stormy Sky on the cloud panel I cut with the Grassy Knoll die by Hello Bluebird, and I also cut a hill with the Grassy Knoll die as well, which I'm gonna ink blend in a minute. I thought the background was a little plain, so I'm adding lots of shimmer and shine with Lawn Fawn Liquid Stardust. The shine is amazing with this one. I recently got it and I can't put it down. Now I'm using a little bit of peeled paint to ink blend the hill. Now I'm just checking to see if my scene looks the way I want it to. For the Magical Rain Shaker card, you need the images, the items you see. You need some clear string, seed beads. I used 2mm iridescent seed beads, and I'm using some 2mm foam tape. I've made pencil marks every 1/4 of an inch on both sides of the panel. I showed it in much more detail in my last video, so I will link it down below so you can go check it out if you want to see the entire process, but I didn't think it was necessary to show it again. But just do those pencil marks. Now I'm just adding the sentiment, which I forgot last time, so now I'm doing it right away. I'm using some powder tool, and I'm stamping the sentiment from the Storybook Friends, which says friendship makes the day brighter, I think. Now I'm using some Wow metallic platinum embossing powder, And I'm heat setting this with my heat tool. Well, first I'm brushing off the excess. And now I'm heat setting it with my heat tool. Now I'm just placing down a strip of foam tape on both sides of the panel. This is 2mm foam tape, so make sure it's thick enough because you want to have enough room for the beads to move up and down. So they can't be too close to the panel or they won't slide properly. Be sure you make the pencil marks long enough as well so that they're visible when you put down the foam tape. Here I'm already measuring out the second strip of foam tape I will need later so that I don't have to measure it again. Not sure why I turned the panel because they're exactly the same length on both sides, but oh well. Now I'm just peeling back the backing of the foam tape a little bit. Don't peel it off completely because you can use the backing sheet to press the string into the foam tape to adhere your strings. I've already strung up my beads. I'm using anywhere from 4 to 6 or 8 beads per string. You can do however many you like, but I always try to make sure that whenever the beads are all the way to the top or all the way to the bottom, you can see them behind the panels I have adhered. I'm just cutting off a piece of the string, taking however many beads I want there, and then pushing it into the foam tape on the top of the bottom at the pencil marks I've made. I'm just repeating this process for all of the pencil marks until my panel is all filled up. I just eyeballed how many beads I would need, and I do have to restring a few, but if you want to make sure you have enough, you can just measure. You figure out how many beads you want on each string. You figure out how big the beads are. Mine are 2mm in this case, and you just multiply it, and then you can just take your ruler and measure how long the string of beads would have to be to fill up your entire card. This is what I usually do, but I thought I'd just eyeball it this time. It really doesn't matter that much. It doesn't take that long to string up the beads, but if you're pressed for time and you want to go ahead and do that ahead of time, measuring really helps. As you can see, I'm just slowly peeling off more of the backing sheet of the tape to adhere my strings. You don't really need to press that hard. They usually stick on their own, but just to be sure, I just press them in quite a bit to ensure they don't go anywhere. I really like doing the Rain Shaker cards this way because if one string doesn't work properly, all you have to do is change out this one. And if they were all connected, you'd have to redo a lot to fix it. So I really like this method a lot. Here you can see me stringing up some more beads because I didn't have enough. It doesn't really take a long time, so I'm just doing it here, but as I said, measuring would have prevented this. Now I'm just stringing up the last, I think, 3 rows of strings, just like I have done with the others. Placing down the string into the adhesive. I always try to make sure that the beads are somewhere in the middle so that I don't get them stuck into the adhesive. And that's all the strings done. Now I'm just making sure everything works and playing with it a little bit. Now I'm removing the backer sheet of the foam tape and placing a second strip on top to seal in all of the strings. I always make sure that the beads are on the opposite side while I do this, so I don't get them stuck anywhere. Now I'm just trimming off all of the overhanging strings with my Tim Holtz scissors. And I'm taking some anti-static powder tool and running it along the exposed side of the adhesive to make sure that my beads won't stick to it. There was a little bit of overhang of foam tape, so I just snipped that off. You also need a little bit of support on the sides for the panel, so I'm just trying to measure out how high the foam tape has to be. And I'm just placing strips on either side, which is like double layer of the 2mm foam tape, to make it the same height as the one we used for the mechanism. I do the same thing for the cloud part and try to make sure that the adhesive isn't visible when you close everything up. Again, running the anti-static powder tool along those as well. I bend the panels up a tiny bit. You won't see it on the card. You see it when I turn it on the side in a minute. But this just makes sure that the beads don't snag on this little area that hangs down the furthest. I've had that happen before, and if you just bend them up a tiny little bit, which won't affect the look of your card, but it just ensures that all the beads move perfectly. I did the same for the grass panel. You can always do it once the card is assembled, just a tiny little bit. Once the images are on top, you won't see anything, but it just makes sure that all the little beads move as they should. Now I'm just figuring out the placement of my images, and I'm gluing them down with Lawn Fawn liquid adhesive. I had already adhered the little umbrella to the elephant ahead of time to make sure I can just move along in this part. Using some tweezers to adhere the tiny mouse. And that finishes off my Rain Shaker card. I've adhered it to a gray A2 size card base, and now you can just see me playing with it. I am so in love with Rain Shaker cards. They're so fun, and they really don't take that much time to make. I really hope you give it a try because they're just so much fun. Thank you so very much for watching this video. I would very much appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to my channel. And until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye!